shed.
Welcome to Dad in a Shed. I'm Mark. I'm going to try and do the voiceover thing today in this episode. So we'll see how that goes. I traced the template onto the wood, and as you can see here, I'm using a jigsaw to cut it out. It's not the neatest way of doing it, and I probably should have this clamped down, in all honesty. But it was the quickest way I could get it done. And unfortunately, that's my preference sometimes, as you'll probably see later on in some of the other clips. So I'm working with this pine, and it's inexpensive. It's not a bad wood. It's not the easiest to work with. Sometimes it breaks, it splinters. You'll see later on I do some routing, and that doesn't go greatly. It's all right, but it's not the best. Here you'll see I've now got my template cut out. The template was done again from the drawing I originally made. Cut out with a jigsaw, using a Shinto rasp to actually get it roughly to shape, and then sanded as smooth as I can get it, probably to about 120. I'm here just marking the centre lines, of course, using the old super glue masking tape trick that I'm sure everyone is familiar with. And then once I've got this template on, I can then start with the routing at the edges. I'm just using a cheap palm router. I think I got it off Amazon. It does the trick. It's all right. I'd love to upgrade to a better version. Just can't justify spending the money at the moment. So, lining these up, getting this stuck down, and then I can actually start doing the shaping. I think this technique, it's not it's not necessarily better than double-sided tape. It's just handy. You tend to have masking tape and super glue around a lot more than you would have double-sided tape. I think that's why it's so useful. So just trimming the excess off, ready for me to start routing. Now, I will say, I will learn. I don't know how much this would apply to hardwood per se, but certainly what I've found with this is I have tended to almost press the bearing on the router too hard into the template, as though I needed to follow the template a lot closer than was necessary. I think I've heard it a few times. I think Adam Savage has said it, Ben Crow certainly, where if you're having to almost try too hard, then there's something not right. And what not being skilled in using something like this, what I've ended up doing to try and conform to the outline is put pressure on the router to follow the template, where I guess thinking about it, the router can't go further than the template because you've got the template there. There's some money shots, as it were. You can see where the end grain has become a problem, and it's torn out a bit. I'm sure you can hear all the phones going off in the background. That's my kids' WhatsApp. Friends, trying to get through to them. And they're not in at the moment. So, continuing the rotor now, it's... you get close to the template. I've obviously removed the template because the bit's not long enough, and now I'm working down the side of the body, keeping the shape. I can't remember if I show this or not. You can actually see, and it's left it in this state, you can see the indentation on the side of the wood where I've been pressing in too hard, and that's where I really figured out that I was pressing on too hard. I think you don't need to. It's going to stop as soon as it hits the template or the wood. I was trying to make sure I didn't miss anything, and in doing so, pressed on too hard and put this indentation, which just... it means there's more sanding required. There's more filing away to get the actual contour smooth. And that thing is terrifying. I don't know if it's because it's just a palm rotor and it's so narrow, but it loves to jump around. There you go. You can see where I've been following it and some of the indentation it's created with the bearing. But, I'm happy there. Here I'm just using a detail sander to try and get some of that mess out. It's looking pretty clean once I've done this. There are some indentations that I just think either the rotor bit's a bit too hard in that place, or it's just the fact that it's quite soft and it may have been banged. I may have banged it. I'm not saying that I did, but it's quite possible. At this stage, I think what I did, I was trying to see if this sanding would get it out, and it seems to work. I've not gone the whole way around the body at this point, because after this I'm going to be doing a bit of carving to the side, so I thought, do you know what, I'll do the carving, then I'll do the sanding after that. There's no point sanding the bits that I'm going to carve away anyway. Yeah, more sanding. There's a lot of sanding. There happens to be a hell of a lot of sanding in making guitars. More sanding. I think you all know what sanding looks like, whether it's a detail sander, a random orbital sander, or hand sanding. And I think in future videos I'll probably have less footage of sanding, more just maybe a sign that says much sanding or something along those lines. I've got the camera on a tripod on the actual table I'm using. I say table, it's a little I fastened a piece of wood to the side of my shed really and put some legs on it, so table is kind of loose, but it works. And yeah, you're going to get some of the jittery effect. Maybe don't drink while you're watching this. I don't know. Maybe do drink while watching this. So that's where we're at after that first lot of sanding. I've put some resin in there as well, but you'll see that shortly. Basically, I mixed resin with a bit. I got some. I was trying to do some cold casting, which I think I'll make a separate video, not part of this series, to show you what I was doing with the cold casting. It's basically a way of trying to get a metallic finish on a resin object. But by you fill the silicon mold with metal powder, and then you pour your resin in, and the powder becomes the outside skin, and you get like a metallic finish. I'll show you in another video. It didn't quite go to plan, but I had a bit left over, so I used it to fill the cracks in this pine. And you'll see, much later on when we're getting close to finishing how it looks, and I think it's quite a good effect. Anyway, here I'm measuring now where the bridge is going to go. I need to, because the top of this guitar is flat. I have a Tune-o-matic style bridge that I need to lower. I think it's about 17 mil in height. I need to lower that bridge so that the string height above the fretboard isn't ridiculous. Normally you do this with a neck angle, but because this is all flat on top, I'm going to have to sink the bridge into the body. So I'm looking at the placement at the moment, and the way I've decided to do it is actually lower the whole body from where the bridge is to the end of the guitar. I got a router bit that's I think it's called a round nose, just so that basically instead of having a square edge to the channel I'm routing out, it'll be round at the bottom, and I can obviously sand the top to make it a bit smoother. So if you can just see that there's like almost like a V shape with the point cut off, that's the shape I'm going for. I've got this measured, angles measured. I'm going to transfer this to a piece of chipboard just to make a rough template. That's just the laying out to make sure everything fits. I've got to get the little, I don't know what you call them, the little riser mounts underneath there. So this is just a little bit to show. I made a drawing of a logo that I've converted. That's just plasticine or modelling clay with this sort of logo on. I'm going to use this as a truss rod cover, and that's some what is it? It's silicone bought from Smooth On. There's a company, I can't remember the name of them, in this country that supplies Smooth On stuff. There's plenty of others, but having watched, Punish Props videos a lot, I've been following their methodology to figure out how to try this, and using the same kit they use is probably the simplest way into it. I think once I've got a handle on doing it, this is a particular silicone that doesn't need to be degassed beforehand. I don't have any of that kit to do it, so this was the simplest method. So I made a modelling clay logo. I've put the silicone on it, removed that to make a mould, and now you can see me, I poured the resin in. I'm using a heat gun to get rid of the bubbles in the resin, and I've also, as you can see, I'm putting some more on the body just to fill some cracks in. It should stabilize it a bit, but also it just looks good when you sand it down as well. I've done it on the last pine body guitar. I just used the clear resin. I didn't even use the heat gun. It's set, and you can actually see little bubbles, but it actually looks pretty good. If you're going for the fully clear, use the heat gun, and this will get rid of bubbles. It works really quickly. It does become a lot more runny. So if your surface isn't flat, it will start to run, and you can kind of blow it around with the heat gun, but it does run around a lot more. So yeah, that's just doing that as a little aside. Like I say, I think I'll make another video that's just about this, so you can see beginning to end what I created. You'll see later on that I think I'll end up painting the truss rod cover. I don't think the cold casting worked as well as it could. but that's the first output of that. And oh right, so here is a bit of painting. This isn't what the finished product's going to look like, but again, I actually sprayed it silver, and then went with basically some weathering techniques, following again people, Bill Duran from Punished Props, and of course Adam Savage, just to try and give it a bit of a lived-in look. It works. I don't think it works for this guitar, so you'll see in later episodes that I go with a different finish, and I think it works better with the whole guitar. Yeah, it's nice. I'm going to do more. I think my ultimate goal would be to do this, get the logo, the truss rod cover, but then you can actually, there are some metals that you can cast in silicon. So what I'd probably do is get a heat resistant silicon, and use something like pewter to make an actual metal truss rod cover, using this as the base template. So yeah, that's what that looks like. And this is resin. It now looks like metal. So it's good. It's a useful technique. So this is the shape of the route I'm going to do on the body. And that's just a bit of chipboard. And this is, literally just a case of I'm going to cut this out. You're going to see me cut it out because you're so interested in me cutting out a piece of chipboard. But it's just the process. Unfortunately, I actually didn't get footage of me using this template to make the shape, but you'll see the result of me using this. And the palm router I've got, I can't replace the base on that because basically the screw heads that hold the base on are non-existent. So I can use this to do the outline of the cut, but because there's no meat of the wood in the middle, I can't then use this to get rid of the material in the middle. What I had to do, and you'll see this in a minute, is make another template that was just literally a straight line. And this was just a case of going backwards and forwards on a piece of wood with the router and just lowering it each time till it made its way through, and then I could use that to clear the bulk of the material out. So yeah, I've made this. It's based on the obviously the center line, the straight line on each side of that, and then I think it was 70-degree angle for those lines at the side. Yeah, that's basically cut out. I then started using the Shinto again to clean it all down. That thing is amazing. It really, since I got that, so the first neck I ever tried, I didn't have that, and it was on pine, and I was trying to use, well, saws and chisels and all kinds of things, and it was a mess. I completely messed it up. I had to buy a pre-made neck, and that was, in fact, that was for the last Great Guitar build-off. This time, because I'm doing scratch build, I had to make a neck. So after the last attempt, I bought a Shinto rasp anyway, started playing with it, and my God, it's brilliant. It's really good. You'll see in the next episode that I'll actually do some shaping with that, but I think at the end on a neck, at the end of this one, you'll see working on the body, and it comes in handy in so many different ways. This is just getting this template smooth and ready for using on the actual body. Like I say, unfortunately, I didn't catch the footage of it. I probably thought I was doing it and just hadn't. This is just so that I could get the centre lines on the body, so I'm just cutting a bit of extra material off so that it'll fit in place. Excuse me. It's funny, you know, before doing this, I'd started trying to do craft, basically, after watching a lot of people who do craft foam armour and that kind of thing. I decided I wanted to get into making, because I should have been doing it all my life and hadn't, and finally got around to making. And since then, I've bought tools, bought saws and all that kind of thing. I love it. I absolutely love it. And even just sewing like that and getting a straight line is so satisfying from starting with nothing. It's great. So here we are. Just test fitting now. You can see I can get the centre line now measured up as I cut that extra bit off. I'll clamp this in place. Just testing to see if with that round nose bit I'll have enough flat surface to then fit the bridge in place. So look, there we go. I'm straight to the straight line routing because I missed the footage. So all I'm doing here is changing the angle of that line to actually cut the bulk of the material out. Yeah, that's just that. You're just going to see that back and forth moving it, and it actually. I was still using the round-nosed bit here, which was ridiculous because it leaves channels. It's actually given me ideas for future work because I could measure this and get the lines in place and actually create a pattern with it. I've learned, but I also shouldn't have done it in the first place because then I have to clean it all down. You'll see by the end of this, there's a lot of cleaning to do, and there still is. I've shaped a lot of the body. It's still not perfectly smooth on that base, but it's done the job. It really has done the job. And just something as simple as this straight line, I can actually use this again in future. So this will be a handy little jig to use. So this video is going to finish with a little picture of actually what the body's looking like so far, and this has been mainly about getting this body to this stage. There's going to be, you'll see soon again, the Shinto rasp comes into play, and that's where I start getting the body roughed out. It's not I'm still, some of this is going to be winging it as I go along. Once the body's shaped to how I want it, it's going to change again when I fit the neck, because the fingerboard's obviously got a radius on it. Now the surface of this body is flat. When I marry the two together, I want the radius to bleed into the body. Now I don't know at the moment if that's going to go from the neck all the way down to the bridge, or if I'm going to blend it in a bit. So those things are going to change. I have the body shape. I have a rough idea where the carve's going to be, but there are things I'm going to have to work out as I do them, which is fine. That's what I'd expect. So yeah, there's a bit more of this routing to do, and then the next clip. So there's smoke. That's open the door, let the smoke out. It's not the mysterious blue smoke, which means the root is on its way out, but it's definitely smoke. It's probably a very fast way of starting a fire, that. Do it again here. No, okay. So nearly done this now. You'll see the carving in a second, and then, like I say, it's the next episode is going to be on the neck, purely on the neck. it's both of these videos, I think they're not, let's see, I'm not in a position to be teaching people how to do these kind of things. I'm just hopefully showing how somebody with no background in this kind of thing can end up with what I think are quite good results. I've built two other guitars before this, and I think each one has taught me something, but I hopefully am putting more finesse into this one than the other two. There's certainly more thought process involved, and this one is a bit out on a limb because it's not based on a standard. And in some respects, I'm kind of glad I'm using this pine and an old oak door, because the wood hasn't cost me anything. It was there. I already had it, and it is an experiment. So it's a good way of doing that. Although this pine is an absolute pain to work with. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Or I'll get there, and you'll watch me stumble along the way. But if I say we'll get there, it feels I'm including. Yeah, I'm including everyone in the journey. I don't know how much you can hear that. I'm scratching my chin as I'm watching this, but is it really coming across? That's probably disgusting, isn't it? Although it might end up on some websites as a feature, so I'll just... There we go, scratch a bit more. Yeah, I think I'll get better at editing as well. This does seem to be dragging on a while. That's nice. That's a satisfying feeling. That's also how you get splinters. But, some rudimentary chisel work. That bass in the background, that was the first time I used Crimson Stunning Stains. And they turned out really well. I think I'm going to use red and black on this one, but we'll see. It depends how it looks, just wood at the end. Because I do quite like the look of that pine. So yeah, here the wonderful Shinto. If you don't know, there's two sides. There's a rough side and a less rough side. The rough side for general shaping and getting rid of wood is amazing. It works so quickly, and you have surprising amount of control over what you're doing, which is why it's so good. You can actually creep up on the lines you've drawn on. I had ideas for this where it'd be smooth, carved around the edges, and then where they meet in the middle at the waist of the guitar, it would be back to normal thickness. And I drew that on, and actually getting it like that is so straightforward. Whether I'll stay like that or not, I don't know. I think it looks quite good, actually. I'm going to do a belly carve at the back, so that should actually bring the shaping from the back as well, so it could be quite interesting. Once the neck is in place and the radius is on, I'll have to think about that. The flat surface on top having some way of it meeting the radius neck, and not just a groove. I want something a bit more shaped, but I'm gonna wait. At the moment, that neck pocket only fits the neck in and not the fretboard. I need to fit the fretboard in as well, and then I can think about marrying up the edge of the fretboard to the carve of the body. Once I've got it in place, then I can actually start thinking about what that's going to look like. Here at the end of the body, I'm starting to now carve that and make it match up with the route, so that the end is certainly meet up. That might turn into more instead of just this sort of, I don't know, 1.5 30mm band at the end. That might creep up a bit further, so that the whole carve for the bridge slowly fades into the back of the guitar, the end of the guitar anyway. I think that could look pretty smart. I want it to be, it's got to fit the way I'm building this guitar, but it's also, I want it to look, look really good. I'm taking it bit by bit. This was my initial thought on the carve, but I like the way it meets up at the end, and that might just become a bigger feature. So we're getting closer to the end of this video. You're going to see a bit more of this carving. The next video is going to be all about the neck, starting with the door. I don't have access to a bandsaw, and so I had to think, how could I actually get the shape out of this neck? And I am impatient, and also don't know if I'm good enough with a saw to not mess it up. So I needed something that I could repeat, something that would be controllable for me to do it. So I think I've come up with a decent idea. I don't know if it's a recommended way of doing it, or there's probably something I missed and could have done it a different way. But you'll see in the next episode that I came up with a solution. It worked, because I've now got a neck, and I'm pretty happy with it, as I am with this body. It's coming together. I think where we'll leave this is the sort of rough outline of where the body is, and again with the neck, that'll be the rough outline of the neck, ready to start by about episode 3 of actually working on the meat of this build, which is how the pickups are going to mount, how the controls are going to be done. I've got a thought process behind that's going to be quite interesting, and hopefully that'll be quite useful to see as well. This and the next episode of this sort of can apply to most guitars, electric guitars at least. The episodes after that, I think, will be more specific to this because of what I've set myself. So yeah, hopefully you'll stick around. Hopefully you'll tell all your friends to come and watch my videos, and share them. There's some amazing builds going on out there. This is the shot at the end. So I'm finishing now, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you very much. Goodbye.